How's it going, kings and queens? Before we get into the video, I want to say happy late Thanksgiving. I hope y'all had an amazing turkey day. And if y'all turkey was dry, then I apologize. But don't worry, because I'm about to open the floodgates with all this content. So hit the bell to keep notified with everything I drop. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the video. It's been 2 weeks since Scarlet and Violet has been released, and Game Freak graciously lifted the hammers off of our necks. So I decided to make a poll to see what video you guys want to see next. The next region in order was going to be Sinnoh, but that's not what you guys wanted to see. So, Paldea it is. Now, even though I know you guys are playing this game hard as can be, I might as well throw in some trivia for my mice friends out there. So, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is the newest game in 2022. This is a main series game and it follows right after Pokemon Legends Arceus. Luckily for you and I, it takes inspiration from Pokemon Legends Arceus. Matter of fact, this is the first quote-unquote open world game in Pokemon's main series. This game does reinvent the wheel just a smidgen, but I will say it does it better than some of its predecessors. Now at the time of this recording, there is no DLC available. Therefore, we will only be talking about Scarlet and Violet. And as usual, we will not be talking about the movies because there are no movies, so forget about those two. So let's go ahead and get started because there's plenty to talk about. How good is the Paldea region? Now, for those of you who have been a fan of Pokemon for quite some time, I know you've been waiting for something to shock you. Now, I won't point out any other games, but we all know that there have been some letdowns. But luckily, Scarlet and Violet was a whole new world. The only downside about it was that we didn't have a brand new 150. Seeing older Pokemon inside trailers kind of tells you that you're not going to get a brand new set, but it's okay, because still people get into the series and they haven't seen these Pokemon. But it's honestly perfectly fine, because Scarlet and Violet decided to change these old Pokemon. New movesets, new base stats, stuff like that. And speaking of new stuff, this will bring me to my first pro. This is a fresh world. Now, even though Game Freak is doing the same formula, doing gym badges or trials, whatever you want to call it, it still feels refreshing. The main reason is that there's no set order. If you want to go fight Katie in her level 14 Nimble, you can do that. Or you can completely skip that and go fight Tulip with her level 44 Farigiraf. Now, some of these are actually going to be locked depending on your ride Pokemon, but it still gives you a sense of you can do whatever you want to do. Matter of fact, there's another thing you can do, and that's fighting Titan Pokemon. Titan Pokemon only exist to give you an extra story about a dude that really doesn't matter, but it does give your Pokemon an extra ability, such as to jump higher or to swim, to glide, stuff like that. Now, even though the Titan Pokemon are nothing but a mechanic to get further in the game, Game Freak at least gave you a story with it. And speaking of stories, there's also a third story here with Team Star. Now, I have mentioned this before in one of my previous videos. Most of these teams are really bad. And I hate to say it, but Team Star is no exception. After beating one of their members, they always give you a flashback to show how they joined the group. And while I enjoy the concept, it does feel like they're a bunch of thugs compared to a criminal organization. But the best thing about them is that they have a Revel Room. And spoiler alert here, that Pokemon's typing is not what you think it is or what it should be. So at least the team feels a little bit more reasonable compared to Archie and Maxie, but they're no Giovanni. Another pro in the Paldea region is Pokemon interaction. In this game, they have the normal Pokemon, of course shiny Pokemon, but it added 2 more things that's a little bit different. The first one is Pokemon that have a different Terra type. In the overworld, you'll see a Pokemon that has a shiny golden color. This golden color signifies that that Pokemon has a different Terra type. As mentioned in the previous video, Terra type evolution is actually unfair. There's no way to predict or indicate what a Terra type Pokemon can really be. Within the competitive scene, you're usually going to have a Terra type that's going to be stronger against the Pokemon's natural weaknesses. But it's different when you're playing a casual game because those rules do not apply. Another type of Pokemon they added is also the raid bosses. These are also Terra Pokemon, but you fight them within raids. You can fight them with a couple of friends or a couple of NPCs. In early November, there's going to be the Terra Raid Charizard. As you can see, this Charizard is going to be Dragon. And if you've ever played a Pokemon game before, you know Dragon is weak to ice. However, because it's a Charizard, he's already going to have fire type moves anyways. Now, I can't say Terraforms are actually better than Dynamaxing or Mega Evolutions, but it's still a very good mechanic. This mechanic will also make you want to get every single type of Terra Pokemon anyways. And because getting every Terra Pokemon is pretty lengthy, that will lead to my next pro that this game is long. On average, I would say this game is probably around 20 hours to finish it completely. And by the word completely, I'm not talking about completing your actual decks, more of completing the badges, the Titan Pokemon, Team Star, etc. Now, unlike you normies, I'm not like y'all. I don't mind maxing out my time. I'm perfectly fine seeing 999 hours on a game. And if you want to complete everything in this game, you're going to have to put better than time as well. Now, a rule of thumb is to get your money's worth. I like to believe that $1 per hour is what you should aim for. Now, truth be told, this game is not actually 60 hours worth of content, but it's much better than the 5 that you usually get from a Pokemon game. So here you guys go. These are the biggest pros thus far inside Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or the Paldea region. Now, if you just want to see the positives of this game, I suggest you click off with a smile. But if you are really debating if this is worth your money, then we have to talk about it. Let's go look at everything about this game, and I'm talking about the cons. Now, to address the elephant in the room, let's go ahead and talk about the first con here, and that's the bugs and glitches. Now, we've all played Pokemon games that have a small issue here and there, but I don't think I've ever seen a game this bad in my entire life. So here's the timer up top, because I have to rant about this. This is a problem. If you don't want to see it, then go ahead and skip it to here. Alrighty then, Pokemon, this is unacceptable. Before this game released, there should have been somebody that was doing a QA, quality testing, something like that to know what this game was like. Now, I said it before, the core of this game is actually pretty good, but the frame rate of it is not acceptable. I decided to throw some clips on the screen here to show you what I'm talking about. In this first clip, you can see the characters moving in probably 4 frames per second. Now, this isn't very far into the game. I mean, I kid you not, it's probably within less than an hour. The reason it's bothersome is because it's so close to the beginning of the game. How would you have not noticed it if you've played this game? You can literally have one character on the screen like an NPC, and you'll see them glitching up the stairs like they're from Wreck-It Ralph. There's plenty of other glitches as well. I'm talking about characters getting stuck. I'm talking about characters T-posing after cutscenes. It's just not okay. Now, there is a chance that the game could be patched later on and these are just gone. But understand that this is not CD Projekt Red. You're not going to be able to complain about the game and suddenly they're going to give you a refund. It's even worse because this is a kid's game. Therefore, when a kid gets this game, he sees this, it's going to look bad. So the moral of the story is, Game Freak, please don't do this again. Don't release games that you see are clearly unfinished to the visible eye. That being said, could the glitches magically be gone tomorrow? They could, but they won't. Therefore, we will talk about it. The last con I can give this game is that there's very bad scaling. Earlier I said the open world ideal is a very good thing. The problem is, because in Pokemon you need to go back and do the things that you've missed. The example I gave before is you going to fight that level 44 Farafrig. Well, guess what? That level 14 Nimble, you still have to fight it. Now, scaling is a very touchy subject because you can't just scale the Pokemon to a higher level and then when you go back, they're higher than something that maybe you don't want them to be. Therefore, because of that risk, the game is asking you to do everything linear, how they want you to do it. Now, I hate saying that this is a Scarlet and Violet issue. However, this is the only Pokemon game that has been this big. But besides that, I don't see too many other cons in this game. So now we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. How good is Pokemon Paldea region? 8 out of 10. Now, I'm going to say this first. This is a very good Pokemon game. The core of the Pokemon game is there, and I do think it is worth your time. But there are very small mechanics that are stopping it from being a 10, or it's just the bugs and glitches that they just didn't fix. But with the holidays coming around the corner, I really do think it's worth picking up. Now, as you know, there are other Pokemon regions that I will get to sooner than later. But for now, go check out Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I do think it's worth your time. And finally, if you want to see more of these videos, go ahead and sub to the channel, check out the Patreon, all that other good stuff. And like I mentioned before, I'm opening up the floodgates, so there's a lot more content coming your way. Thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate it, and y'all have a good one. Take care.